Alright, so some of you might have an issue with Counter-Strike Global Offensive if you're running Linux. I'm running Linux Mint, Linux Mint Cinnamon, the newest version, and I for a while I could run Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but eventually it just wouldn't run. It would say corrupt update files, and I would try to download an update, and then it would just say couldn't download update due to a corrupt file. I found out this is because of a bug with the Linux version if you're using NTFS for your hard drive. There's a workaround for that. Someone found a workaround for that, and you type this in to a certain file. I'll show you how to do that, because I could not find a tutorial anywhere. So I'll show you where to put this. So I'll open my terminal, and I'll type in cd for change directory, ... and that's ... is just back, so it's cd backwards, just like to the folder before. So if I do cd ... that sends me to the folder right behind the current folder. If I do cd user, I'm back to where I began with, to where I was at to begin with. Go back to cd ... and I'm just using the arrow keys because it's faster than typing. You can do arrow up or arrow down to go through your previous commands. So cd ... again to get to the root file. And let me open a thing here for you. So if I go to this, etc, and this is where I want to be. Somewhere down here. Give me just a second. Here. We need to open this file. And I just wanted to show you where we're going. So if we go to cd and then the file name, we're in there. If we do ls to list the files and folders, you'll see that I have the, where's it? I'm not good at finding stuff in a large list like this. Here. You'll see we have this along with all the other files just as if we were in the actual folder. We are in the actual folder here, and we are in the actual folder here. This is just the terminal way of doing it, which I prefer. So now we're going to edit that with a text editor. I'll use gedit. That's my, you could use, I guess, something else, but gedit's fine. If you don't have gedit, I guess you should probably do this at the beginning of the video. I should have said something, but you could just do sudo apt-get install gedit, and then that would, if you hit enter there, that'll install gedit for you, and then you'll have gedit. So sudo is pretty much for Windows users. Sudo's like just a command to say run as administrator. Best way I can think of to compare that. And then apt-get is just kind of like a app store. Then install, because you want to install a certain thing, a certain app or whatever. And in this case, that would be gedit. So you would, and then you would want to type the name of what you want to install, which is gedit. So that's how that command works. Now, if we use gedit, we can do gedit fstab, and you want to edit. We want to edit fstab. That's the file I said we need to edit. So we do gedit and tell gedit what you want to edit. Type in fstab, and here it is. But we need to edit this, and it says read only, so we can only really view it. We can make all kinds of changes here we want to it, but we cannot save it. It's read only. We can only view what we have here. So this, whatever I added here, is not saved, cannot be saved currently. We need to make this not just read only. We need to make this where we can edit it. So let me close that. You can't click save. Close without saving. How do we fix that? Well, basically run as administrator, so you get those extra privileges. With sudo, you could really do just about anything you want. So we can do sudo gedit fstab. Same thing, but you do sudo first, and then type in your password. And now, when you get here, you take this right here, and you put it. And as you can see, this is not just read only now. You can read, you can edit it, you can do whatever you want with it. You just paste that right here, as you can see here, and you can put a comma right here to separate these two, because this was already here, and I'll just leave this alone as it is, and I'll just put a comma to separate these. And now, once you have edited fstab to include this, you can click save. Although I don't need to save, I've already had this. But once you have this in, you can click save, close. I'll close this. I don't need that. And then you can just reboot. Type in sudo reboot, or if you would really like, you could just go down here, click restart. Same thing. I prefer the command way of doing things, as I've said. But now, after you have rebooted, you should be able to re-download Counter-Strike Global Offensive. After you've re-downloaded Counter-Strike Global Offensive, click up here, exit on Steam, relaunch Steam, and then you should be able to play Counter-Strike Global Offensive just fine. So next, for my next video, I'm thinking I might show how to install Windows versions of games with Wine, because you can't run all games, or you can't run everything on Linux. Some things are Windows only, so I'll show you how to install those some of those Windows only things with Wine. I have a few right here already. I've Alan Wake, Bioshock 2, Bioshock and Bioshock 2, I still have to work on those. I still haven't figured out how to set those up properly with Wine. I'll work on them. I have Call of Duty World at War running very well. I could not figure out how to run that. But I'm thinking about showing how to install things with Wine, because there's not a lot of tutorials out there for that. But I pretty much had to figure out how to fix that bug on my own for CSGO. It's a Linux only bug, I believe. It's only if you use NTFS. Your options are to either switch to another format that's not NTFS, or use the workaround I have described by adding this to your fstab and then reboot. And those are your options. I prefer the workaround. I wanted to stick with NTFS if possible, so I use this to work around the bug, and then I've rebooted, and now I can play CSGO. Although this is the Windows version, so I'll have to switch to the Linux version, but you get my point. I can play CSGO. So yeah, see you later.